Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alyssa White as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Before we even begin today's episode, I want you to picture this. A woman walks through her front door after holding the world together all day. She drops her bag, exhales, and pours a glass of wine, not to celebrate, but to survive. It's one glass to take the edge off, then another, then one more. She tells herself it's normal. Everyone does it. She's fine. But here's what research refuses to let us ignore. Women today are drinking more than any generation before us. Alcohol-related deaths in women have more than doubled in the last 20 years. Binge drinking among women has surged 47% in the past decade. And chronic stress, the silent thief, increases cravings by up to 200%. Because cortisol literally hijacks the brain's reward system. At the same time, listeners and viewers, 91% of women report emotional eating, not because they're weak or undisciplined, but because their nervous system is stuck in survival mode. Trauma survivors are 3 times more likely to misuse alcohol. They're also 2 times more likely to binge or emotionally eat. And the most overlooked group are high-functioning women, the ones performing at the top while struggling silently behind the scenes. This is the storm inside so many women's lives, the storm we normalize, justify, hide until it breaks us. And today, we're going straight into it. Welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Alyssa White, the #1 mindset disruptor. And if you ever struggle with cravings, coping mechanisms, emotional eating, or pressure to keep it all together, this episode is going to hit home. If you know someone who you think might be struggling, just go ahead and share it. But my guest today is someone who has lived every side of this conversation. Her name is Ms. Colleen Clifford, a former commercial fisherwoman, chef, and now a certified nutrition and alcohol-free coach. She has survived 7 near-death experiences, lost her husband to alcohol-related suicide, and lived her own breaking point, the final binge, the drive home drunk, the moment that woke her up. And from that moment, she rebuilt her life emotionally, physically, spiritually, and now she helps women break free from cravings, binge cycles, and destructive patterns. Today, we are talking about the roots beneath the binge, the truth beneath the craving, and the freedom on the other side. Colleen, we are so honored and excited to have you here at Mindset Mastery Moments. Welcome to the show. In your own words, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Wow. That was a beautiful introduction all around. I was mesmerized.
Thank you.
You gave a bit summary of me, and I guess the turning point for me, as you mentioned, was the drive home, and that was only like 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. So I'm in my
Wow.
60s. I'm
Wow.
62, so
Wow,
it's
you
not like.
look amazing.
Oh, thank you. But I'm just saying that because I'm older, and you would think I would know better, right? So this is the part of the binge drinking that I address. But honestly, the turning point was after my late husband died by suicide. That was 14 years ago, and it was alcohol induced. So I didn't really think about it back then because we weren't really talking about suicide 14 years ago like we are now, and the
Mm,
mental health related
yes.
alcohol and suicide is very combined, right? So in my own journey, once I quit drinking and I was looking at the binge drinking patterns, I just made a promise to him, because at first I cried and cried and cried. Then I was very angry at him. Like, how could you do this? What a cop out. We were having problems financially. And just relationship wise. And I felt like, maybe we could have figured things out. You left me with this mess. And then after I cleaned up the mess, so to speak, I went into my own depression, never having
Oh,
suffered depression. I never thought about dying by suicide, but if I could have fallen in a black hole and not come out, I would have welcomed that. And then my anger turned to compassion. And I made a promise to him that I'd try to turn our story, this tragedy, into something that could help the society, help somebody.
right.
So that's why I shared.
Man. And that moment right there, that's the identity rupture, the shift from autopilot to awareness, right? What was that first belief you had, Colleen, to confront in order to start your healing journey?
For the drinking was realizing that I was in denial. This is how I like to explain it. For 95%
Mm.
of my drinking, I drank like a normal person to
Right.
drink. I could control it. There's this 5% binge drinking where, and maybe a lot of us have experienced this, where you drink more than you're planning, right? And a binge drink is it's considered 4 drinks for a female in any
Wow.
incidence. Yeah. So you go to a party and you just accidentally overdo it, kind of, you know how those things happen. And the
Yeah.
next day you might have a hangover and you think, wow, I drank too much. And you did. I mean, that's a binge drink. But nothing serious happens. But what
Right.
I realized when I drove home drunk, because I'd been telling myself this for years that I didn't have a problem, even with the near deaths, I was in denial. Denial kept me stuck,
Mm-hmm.
kept me
Mm-hmm.
safe, but stuck. And when I drove home drunk that last time, I woke up so ashamed, so grateful I didn't kill anyone. And I had a talk, come to Jesus talk, like, and I did pray to God, like, get me home safely. And I swear I will never do this again. Like, I will figure
Mm-hmm.
it out. And I just thought to myself, this has to stop. Like, this binge drinking. And the only way it's going to stop is if I never have a drink again, because I never was assured that this wouldn't happen again. I didn't go to the party, set out to get drunk and drive home, and
Right.
yet it happened,
Right.
right?
Right. Because our decisions are always one decision that leads to the next decision, and you're in the middle of it. And sometimes the decision was already made because you didn't make a decision on how you would counter something, I guess. Like you were comfortable with alcohol, like most humans, a lot of humans are. I can't say most, a lot of people are. And you're like, I got it. I'm in control of everything. So what is this? Why do you think alcohol gets that sneaky with us? What is your understanding behind what we believe to be? Number one, let me just address this. You said that 4 drinks is already binging for a female.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask you to unpack that with this as well. But why do we first of all, we don't know that. I'm just still stuck on that. When do you know that you're not in the normal range with it, and it's not just drinking or drinking too much, having a good time, or just having blowout times to actual binge drinking? And is it binge drinking because you're doing it so often? Just unpack that for us. Help us understand that.
Wow. Well, I'm not a doctor,
We know.
and yes, so I can only speak from my experience and what I've
Experience.
learned and what I've learned since by reading other research, scientific research. And I get that
Right.
statistic from the National Alcoholism. And I always get this acronym wrong because it's very long, but I can put it in the show notes later. But
Love me
they
both.
did the research, and this is what they came up with. That's a great question because I think it's a slippery slope. Like you said, it's sneaky. And, the brain dumps the neurotransmitters in, the dopamine, and then it turns to other things as we dump too much in it, right? Like at first we have our first 2 drinks and it's dumping dopamine in, which is the feel good neurotransmitter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I do know that. And then so you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling relaxed, more confident, talking easier." But then in the 3rd drink, the brain starts going, "Whoa, this is too much." And then it shifts from the
Mm.
dopamine to other neurotransmitters. And then it just is an imbalance from then on out until it gets the alcohol out of your system. And basically, the brain is just trying to keep us alive because the more we drink, the brain
Mm.
and the heart are working together. And alcohol poisoning is when someone drinks too much and your body just shuts down. The brain's just like, whoa. right?
Wow. Wow. And so that now when you say it like that, I guess something we looking for, like you said, we're not doctors. I was sharing earlier that my sister's an addiction therapist. She might have some info in that. But
Sure.
it sounds like when it comes to alcohol poisoning, that could be different levels to different people.
Yes, and every body's different, right? We all tolerate
Right.
everything differently. So, I mean, this is a general, 4 drinks for me might be 2.5 for you, but it's just getting to that level of too much, too much. And I think the problem for me is that once you get past that point of drinking in a party or incidents, you're like in this fog. Like you think you're doing better than you are. I never would have drove home. I thought I was okay. My drunk brain, I'm not okay, but I think I'm okay. And I
Mhm.
realized 3/4 of the way when I started seeing double, I wasn't okay. Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know all the scientific stuff behind it. Each
Backstory hit.
drinker might, yeah, the backstory. I just know that at some point, and anyone that drinks or has drank might be able to relate to that. It's like at some point you just kind of tip over the scale, and some people can turn it off, say, "Oh, I've had enough." For me,
You
most
just kept
times I
going.
just kept drinking. Yeah, when I was at that
Wow.
point. Yeah, and that
So
wasn't all
what
the time either.
it wasn't all the time.
What?
So again, with some of the research I did and coming on your journey, if you would share just a little bit before we dive into cravings and patterns and causes and where you came and what you are in awareness of and how you work with individuals, tell us what near death looked like for you and was it alcohol related? Because you also talk about sort of you juxtaposition your binge drinking and binge eating at the same time. So we're gonna get into that. So really exciting. Talk about those near death experience for that you had of your own a little bit.
Yeah, most of those were in my 20s, quite honestly. Although I consider the last incident a near death because I could have died or killed someone. I mean, it
That's
was due to
driving.
binge drinking. Right. So it's all alcohol related. One
Mm.
time I jumped into a river that was level 4 rapids. I thought I could swim across. Underlying for me was lack of self-love.
Mm.
I had something happen, and I explain this in my book, that was so traumatic that I locked it away. I swore I'd never say anything, locked it away in my heart and my essence, and I told myself the story. I would never get married, I'd never have children. Nobody would ever love me if they knew this about me, and
Mm.
I'm a lone wolf.
Wow.
Yeah, and I really believe that I was subconsciously testing death.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, as I look back on it now, because once in my I started to my sisters are beautiful, right? Thank God I have a sister. I love my
Yes.
sister. She's like, "What's
Yeah.
up with you?" Around 32, 33. "You don't want kids. What happened?" And nothing, nothing. And she wouldn't let it lie. She pulled it out of me. And that was the first time I talked about it and started healing.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank God. Like you said, thank God for sisters. What if you're born and you share the bloodline or just God has blessed you with one along your journey. So needed because they see us sometimes the way we don't think they see us and see through us where many people can't at times, right?
Yeah, and a
So
sister
those
could be a great friend
I
too. Doesn't necessarily
yes.
need to be a blood
What
sister.
exactly. What I really love is you saying that what was underneath because a lot of women I really want to talk to women a little bit because we're both women and we're not eliminating men either because it's the same here underlying reasons for our actions. And so you testing death, like I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm like, how many of us do that? Like the statistics, I don't want to quote it because I don't have it at the tip of my tongue, but there's so many people who have some form of trauma that they have buried. I had a guest on recently that talked about she literally blanked hers out to where she didn't even know or like it was not anywhere in our consciousness.
Mhm.
Like she had no recollection of the events. And I think her story is that she still never got all of it until. And so when we stuff, it's like we don't even know this stuff is there, but we have these beliefs that we formulate
Mhm.
and our belief systems is what guide our lives. And so you're saying that what you found for you is that you buried this event and then made a decision that your life is not necessarily worth it. But on the surface, you were living a quote unquote normal life, creating success for yourself. What did your life look like through all this? Like, tell us about your achievements and those things, because there's a woman here that will see herself, and it may not be drinking or alcohol, but it could be something else that causes her to say, could I be on this path as well of quote unquote,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really important in my healing and journey. And like this other person you were speaking of, I sometimes forgot it even happened. I buried
Mhm.
it so deep too. I didn't forget it, but I would forget that I had it. Um, so I escaped to commercial fishing. I got a job on a fishing boat in Alaska, and this is 1988, 89,
Yeah.
back when there was no
Yeah.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
nobody, we were fishing out in Alaska, and nobody even knew what it was then, commercial fishing. And I just would be gone for months on a boat floating around the ocean and out of touch, working, which was a good place for me because I couldn't drink. We didn't drink on the boat.
Right.
And that also kept me stuck because we always called the boat the floating rehab jokingly because most of us would come back after vacation of partying really hard and all of us thinking we have a drinking problem. And then you dry out on the boat because you
Huh.
can't drink. And then you get off the boat and you're like, I'm okay. I haven't drank in 4 or 5 months. And
Right. So I'm not an addict at all if I can go
no.
without it for 4 months, right?
Right. And the cycle starts again. So I've been fishing for 34 years. So it's kept me in that cycle of binge drinking for quite a while. Now,
Right.
for my binge eating, I stopped when I started commercial fishing because for one, I was in the kitchen cooking. And so I was able to change my eating patterns because I had
Mm-hmm.
access to food all the time. And so I discovered that I like to eat small amounts more often.
Mm.
And I just naturally stopped feeling that urge to binge. And yeah, that's what happened for me.
Wow. So let's talk about something that you say. You say cravings aren't about food or alcohol, they're about unmet needs. Break that down for us. What are women really craving?
Well, each woman is craving their own thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it can be feeling the way I see it, especially for myself, is that I'm ignoring something. It's either out of I don't want to deal with something that I'm feeling. So rather than feel it, I'm going to make myself feel good by eating the ice cream or whatever that I like, chocolate, and kind of do it unconsciously, just keep eating until you're like, "Oh wow, I ate more than I was planning." Sometimes it can even get kind of out of control where you're so disconnected with your feelings that you're just in a like a spin. And
Yeah.
then there's always that shame after, right? That like, "Oh my god, I just ate a bag of chips. I didn't need that." It's just all that stuff. So, there's a lot of reasons why we might be avoiding our feelings. And so
Mm.
that's the point. That's the part we have to well, if we want to change, we need to address head on without
Mm.
fear and start to learn how to be comfortable, and this is kind of a cliche saying these days, but comfortable with being uncomfortable and
Mm-hmm.
realizing you're gonna live if you're not feeling this ucky, uncomfortable feeling, it won't
Right.
last forever.
Exactly. Exactly. It won't last forever. And that's the thing about it. A lot of cliches are the most, as I get deeper and more committed to my journey of growth, cliches are not as cliche as they used to be. It's like this, oh, now I get it. And then wait, 5 months later, oh, now I get it. Oh my gosh, now I get it. Because it's like, even sitting it uncomfortable. So it's like, that's so cliche. And then you realize, oh, this is what that meant. Oh, now I get it. And it just has deeper meaning. And now you're breaking and busting wide open and a bunch of ooey gooey stuff is coming out. And then just when you think, oh, I got it all out, wait a minute, I'm a rock star. Like, wait, there's more, right? And so that's what I love about
Used to always be more, right?
yeah, there's more. Wait, there's it's like an infomercial that you see at 1 a.m. to buy something you don't need. Wait, there's more. And
Yeah.
wait, there's more.
I love that. So true. Oh my gosh.
What I really do love about your approach is definitely honesty.
Thank you.
You talk about, yeah, you don't shame people for coping. You teach them to decode the coping. Why is that so important in how you show up in your own healing journey and how you're helping others heal?
In life, I've worked really hard on changing my like to stop judging, to be kind, to be vulnerable. And with all of that, we're all kind of going through the same thing in different ways, right? Living life, doing the best we
Yes.
can. And whatever reason someone's doing something that may be destructive to themselves, it's not for me to judge what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing or why. Because as you said earlier, and as I believe, there's an underlying reason that this is happening. And if I had ever gone to college, I would have loved to have been a therapist because I think it's so fascinating what drives us, our
Mm-hmm.
constructive behaviors and our destructive behaviors.
Yes.
And everyone was born a beautiful baby. Circumstances in life, and some of it might be genetically who you are. Like, babies all do have their own personalities. So you
Yes.
you may have that going or against you in life, depending on what your demeanor is.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's just life happens, and
Mm-hmm.
I try to be compassionate with people. Just somewhere along the way, we get screwed up.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Life just starts happening and we compile the junk from one occurrence to the next, one let down, one disappointment. And those could just happen by what we see, you know, and it just starts to build up and compile. And we start to create these belief systems that become thought patterns that become now things that we're speaking and doing. And then we're just becoming
Mhm.
from those experiences that became thoughts. So, yeah, you're right. It just builds up. So, when you're talking about women listening and keeping, I don't know, because we have like a wide range of women all across different paths of life and different types of lifestyles. And what I keep hearing and you keep saying is that they say a lot of time, I don't know why I do this, is one of the phrases. What's the first question she needs to ask herself if she's walking through that space of, I don't know why I do this when it comes to any form of, I would call it mal coping because we're all coping in some form or the other, but the mild coping is when you're, you know, these patterns of maybe binge drinking, binge eating. What would you say is the first question she can ask herself when she's thinking, I don't know why I do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of goes alongside with the cravings. Like, this is my experience. And as mentioned, I speak from my experience. When I was in whenever I'm in that process of even now asking, why am I doing this? That's great. That's awareness because you're doing
Yes.
it, right? So, like, when I was quitting drinking, the first part's really hard, right? Because you're still going to get cravings. And so I would crave the drink. And then I would say, okay, wait a minute. This is not what I want to be doing. I have my big why. And why am I craving this now? So then I like to describe it as become your own detective. Where are
Mm,
you? Ask yourself the questions. What time of day is it? What's just
yeah.
happened? Like, kind of become like an awareness around when you're feeling like doing that thing you don't want to be doing, what just happened?
Right.
And start to take note. I would keep a journal. And in my discovery for me, it was fascinating. I realized my craving, I'm going to drink now, but I don't want to drink, often occurred in the afternoon at
Mm,
3 or 4. And then I thought, okay, this is weird. Is this just a habit? And then I thought,
mm,
well, wait a minute. I haven't eaten much today. And then I thought, I'm going to try eating something solid. And I ate, and the craving would disappear. So for me, I
Wow.
realized it was blood sugar level. I needed to eat more solidly, carry food with me so that I
Mm,
wouldn't get to that level of the
mhm.
blood sugar, and it kept my cravings much more manageable. They actually kind of stopped happening, except in the emotional craving of, like, you go to a party and you want to drink. I mean, that's another thing, but I'm talking the physical craving of, like, you know, I want to drink right now, or I want to eat a bag of candy.
Right. Not just have a candy, just like a bag.
Yeah. And some of it might be habit. Like, I am a chocoholic. Um But now I've learned that it's okay, and I just let myself have a little bit every day.
Seen some amazing testimonials of individuals you've worked with in your work, and you've coached people who've tried everything: diets, detoxes, cold turkeys, guilt cycles. What actually works? What disrupts the loop in those clients you've worked with in your practice and what you do as a coach?
Well, one of the first things I like to focus on with anyone, well, first I hear where they're coming from, right? It's their journey. It's
Mhm.
not for me to say this is what you need to do, or that. But what I often hear is a lack of self love. And so we work on self love first. And
Mhm.
then the rest just kind of falls into place.
Mhm.
It's each person's different, and each experience is different, but just allowing people, women are very bright and really know what is going on with themselves. And so, the whole point is allowing people to talk, and then they figure it out. And that's really fascinating. That's really exciting. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe it's this." And you're like, "Yeah. God, that sounds like, so what can you do?" And then they come up with their own plan, and then that's the thing with coaching or any kind of, right, as you know, it's the accountability. So then they come up with their plan, and you check in again, see how it's going. And then maybe they'll come up with something like, I'm going on a cruise and I'm really afraid I'm going to eat too much. And then I might say, well, how do you think you can have a successful cruise where you can enjoy the food but not feel like you're binge eating, or what can you do? And they go, well, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can share my dessert with my husband. There you go. There's a lot of options so that you can still enjoy things but not feel like
Yes,
you're overdoing it. So
exactly. That's beautiful. I want to talk about something because this conversation made me think of something. Wow. Alcohol culture has been glamorized a lot and
Mhm.
marketed like self-care for women. Here's the thing, I just thought about it, Colleen. When I go to my parlor, beauty parlor, where I get my nails and my pedicure done, I realized that they've been probably it's been about 8 months, but this particular one, and I think I went to one before that. Okay, they offered me like a glass of wine or something, and I'm sitting here, Colleen, and I'm thinking, when they offer you a glass of wine and then you can get a refill and you can get another one, I'm sitting here thinking, Those women are gonna drive after they leave."
Mhm.
You've lived inside that illusion, What's the real truth behind that? The glamorizing and that it's self-care to have a glass of wine and eat
Mhm.
popcorn,
Mhm.
which I do.
I know, it's been around forever, right? Ever and ever. It's prevalent in a lot of places, but on the other hand, the good news is there is a cultural mind shift about alcohol that is changing.
Tell us about it.
Well, I just went on a tour, the first non-alcohol wine tour in Germany, with a group of women who are movers and shakers. And one of the gals offers alcohol-free experiences of traveling.
Wow.
She's amazing. And we discovered on this tour that the alcohol-free industry is surpassing the alcohol industry. Like, the public wants more non-alcohol options, and they're actually making good ones. And so,
Whoa.
as you know, in Europe, that's, the wine culture in Europe is very, very strong and older.
Yeah. Yeah.
For people who the companies, the wineries that started this, we're forward thinking, and now everyone wants to know their secret of how they alcoholize wine and still let it allow it to taste good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of alcohol-free options out there for beer and wine, and that's a good. I mean, some people, it might trigger some people if quitting is your goal. I put a warning sign around that. But for me, it's not triggering, and so it was a very helpful tool when I did have a craving or at
Hmm.
a party. I'll drink a non-alcohol beer and usually only drink one, and I feel like it's kind of sad to say that you do that to feel like you're part of the group because everyone else is drinking.
That's what human, it's a human need, which
Mhm.
I try to tell everyone, don't judge yourself, right? It is a human need
Mhm.
that you feel part of a community and a tribe. That's just how we were created. So there's nothing wrong with it. And there's rituals and practices and things that you do. And when I say rituals, it sounds crazy, but no, it's ritualistic to get in a circle and do something together, like break bread together, drink wine together. So yeah.
Yes, and it's been around forever.
Yeah.
But the younger generation aren't drinking as much. I don't know all the statistics, but it's pretty high.
Yeah.
And so it's hopeful, and people who are successful aren't really drinkers. So, you don't really have to. It's interesting. I was just on a podcast with a guy yesterday, Jordan Edwards Clockton, and he was telling me that he went to Thanksgiving and brought some seltzer, and everyone there said, "You're not drinking?" And he's like, "No, I'm drinking seltzer." So it's kind of
Exactly. Because
interesting.
once you're on a health journey, body, mind, and soul health, alcohol, even the feeling you get, it's like, like there's nothing that it doesn't feel good in your body because it slows you down. Then, like for me, I drink like 4 ounces of wine, maybe once a month, if that much, really. And it slows me down. Like the next day, I'm not as energized as I need to. Number one, it's a sugar rush for someone who does very limited sugar already. So
Mhm.
it does, and my body, I always say, I stood at the door of type 2 diabetes and it runs on my side, but on my side of the family paternally. So I had it and it's very curable, I say. So I keep not getting on the medication and beating it. And I've lived without getting pre-diabetic blood work for the last year and a half. So
Well, good for
I'm
you.
counting that. Right. So that sugar does not resonate for my body very well. It goes into like a complete slump and I drag for like the whole next day off of 4 ounces of wine. So I hate that feeling. So nothing about it. Nothing tastes as good. I feel like for me though, when I do, it could be something like it's like communion based, like the same amount you get and you enjoy it because I feel like it's the flavor and the aroma and the senses that just like certain like chocolate, you just enjoy and savor the flavor if you're going to do it. But if it's going to make you feel horrible after, or you're drinking it for anything except for the enjoyment of what that substance is, you're more than likely abusing it. That's my thought process. It doesn't mean it's not research based. That's my thought process about it and about a lot of things in life that, we all have different, like I said, it might be alcohol for me, it might be alcohol for you, it might be chocolate, it could be anything. It could be anything that is like you said, I love what your premise is. There's something that's beneath all that that causes you to want to overindulge in one area of your life more than the other. So let's talk about you saying it's not a problem until it is. How can women identify red flags earlier?
I think we've all probably lived through a experience where we overdid it.
Mm,
And we know we overdid it the next day or the next moment after we do it, whatever it is we're doing. And so I think the caution there is to, rather than ignore it or push it aside or say to yourself, oh, it only happened this once, just pay attention to that and just say, okay, maybe it did just happen this once. Now, if it happens again,
yeah.
then okay, maybe there's something more to this that I might need to, if I'm willing to look at it, address. And
Mhm.
and be honest if I do want to change.
Yes. Wow. That makes sense to me. Colleen, you've also walked through massive trauma after losing your husband and surviving that near death experiences and in your own breaking point. How did you rebuild your relationship with yourself?
Yeah, wow,
Brick
that
by
took a
brick.
long time, Elisa. I had asked for a divorce the day he died, so I had some guilt around it, even though I know I was seeing a therapist. We both were actually, you know, yeah, we were going to marriage counseling and he stopped and I continued. And anyone can tell you it's not your fault. And
Mm-hmm.
rationally, intellectually, you're like, I know it's not my fault.
Right.
But when it happens, it's hard to not feel like it is partly your fault. So
Yeah.
it took a long time, a lot of retreats. I went on many retreats. It was a journey, a long journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on the other side now, and yeah, it's beautiful to be where I'm at today to hopefully share the story in
Mm-hmm.
hopes of helping someone else.
Right. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to with this message of redemption and grit. And again, what I see, we're positioning yourself in your own identity and really just being a lighthouse for individuals, for women who may have journeyed where you have or journeyed something similar. What are you up to? What are some of the things that you've been able to do with this light?
I love this question because I'm morphing quite a bit, especially this month, looking into 2026, right? Of where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? I'd love to just take the message and turn it into a motivational point, not strictly solely on drinking and how it's dangerous, which it is, but
Mm-hmm.
also, is it serving our lives? Like, is it working for us? Who do we want to
Mm-hmm.
become?
Mm-hmm.
Is this part of it? And what can you do to take it away? Or
Right.
what can you add to your life to become the person you want to be? So I'm really
Mm.
planning I have my first speaking engagement this weekend on stage.
Congratulations.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I'm going to work on getting a speaking page, and I'd love to go to schools. It's always been near and dear to my heart because in my 20s was when I was really at my worst, and I'd love to go to colleges. I'm open to speaking wherever anybody might want to hear me.
Listen.
Uh,
Yeah. So powerful. And you have a book upcoming.
yes.
And tell us a little bit, give us a sneak peek in what we can expect and anticipate from your book.
Hey, it's going to be a compilation. It's really for the reader. I want the reader the whole time to be thinking, is it working for me, or is this who I want to become? So I don't want it all to be about me. I put some stories in there of how I could be dead, like jumping in the river, off statistics. I offer hope. I talk about my commercial fishing life, what it's like to be on the boat, what it's like to have lived on the sea for 20 plus years, like literally inside a boat.
Huh?
Spent more time in that bunk than anywhere else in my lifetime. And that's
Yes.
a whole other thing. Yeah, so I'm hoping, there's only 5 chapters, so it's kind of a shorter read, but it's
Which is
like,
awesome.
right,
Those are my favorites.
I don't want it too much. So the first chapter's beware, the second one's intrusions, like what's getting in your way of change, the third's non-negotiables, what for me it was never driving drunk again. Grace, chapter 4, grace and growth, and the fifth is evolution. Like, who do you want to become and how are you evolving? And then some of my own story of how I evolved.
I love it. Oh, I love it. It's gonna be good. I'm excited for you. I have to tell you again how proud I am of you. And you told us earlier that you were in your 60s, and I'm like, "What? You look amazing. You look amazing." I have to ask Colleen, who do you work with and when it comes to your coaching? Who are your ideal people that you work with? So many amazing testimonials of how you've helped so many people. Tell us who you work with.
Well, someone who's ready to change.
Mm,
On a scale of 1 to 10, if you're at a 2, there's no point in even bothering, until you're ready to change
yeah.
for for my time and the client's time. And then it's kinda like the universe brings people together, right? So, it's just alignment and there you have it.
Right. Alignment. Tell us about Pure Potential,
Yes.
your work. I've got a couple people. Pam Gilbert says, I never knew I could have so much fun in a cooking class. Colleen's laid back personality, along with her obvious professional ability, created a relaxed atmosphere that made it easy to step into learning right away. I was able to participate in the new techniques and recipes without fear of mistakes or failure. Colleen explained the steps. It was easy. She has patient manner, and laughter was abundant in our small group as we worked. I would highly recommend Colleen's cooking class. So you have a cooking class as
Yeah,
well.
I
Tell us
do.
about that.
Well, it's not very popular, quite honestly. I mean, that's the last one I did. So
Yeah.
but I love to teach cooking. I mean, I've cooked for years, and I notice that it's kind of a lost art. People don't really have the time to cook, or they're
Mm-hmm.
maybe they self-judge, their perfectionism gets in the way of even starting. And so I like to teach because part of the journey of health and wellness is eating, right? Our food. And if we can learn to make our own food, it's a healthier option than buying it or eating at a restaurant. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just like to have a good time showing people that it's really not that hard, with a few little tricks, and it's easy. It's easy to do at home.
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It is. Perfect. So that's all part of what you offer to your clients that work with you is a more of a holistic approach to
Mhm.
their health and well-being in the journey of just living life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the next oh well, you already told us that you have a book, but what else is coming up for you and what kind of mindset does that require for you to have to be able to achieve those goals?
A crazy one.
I haven't heard of that mindset, but it just might be a thing. You heard it here first. We coined it the crazy mindset, the wild, crazy mindset.
Yeah, yeah. I signed myself up, so the She Rises Publishing is publishing my book, and for you ladies out there, it's a great group. And she's taking a group of us to the Oscars, and I signed up.
Whoa.
Like, you know,
Whoa.
like I mentioned, I've spent a lot of life on a boat, so this is like totally out of my wheelhouse. I don't even
Yeah.
really watch the Oscars, and I had a meeting with her yesterday, and I thought, oh my gosh, what did I sign up for? I have to wear a gown because we're actually going to be going to the Oscars. I'm going to be interviewing people with
On the
for
red carpet?
maybe not on the red carpet, but in the area before the Oscars, where everyone kind of mills around. Or
Whoa,
or She
that is
Rises Publishing.
huge.
I know, so I have a
Yeah,
lot of catching up to do. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, but I'm
this
I'm
is
gonna have
awesome.
fun, and I'm
Yeah.
going to just embrace it and be me and have a good time. So
Yes. Oh
that's
my
gonna be
gosh, that is just so amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank
I
you.
would love to hear. I'm gonna be like, "How did it go?" I'll be watching the Oscar and thinking about you.
I don't
I
say
don't I
disaster.
watch it here and there. Last few years, I used to be a big Oscars person, but the last maybe 6 or so years, more I dig into all the things I do. I just catch the gossip after.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, it just kind of aligned with me, and maybe it's part of my speaking. I wanna get out there and speak and do it without fear. So I'm doing
Right.
it. Yeah.
That is just so amazing. I have to ask you, what is your definition of success? What does success means to you?
Success is having everyone in my that comes in contact with me leave with a good vibe. Like,
Yeah.
I like to make I try. I mean, I'm not perfect. Maybe my partner gets the worst of it. But I'm not perfect. But where I go, in the world, I'm kind, and I just want people. The only thing you take with you when you die is what you've become. That's a Jean
Mm,
Kirkpatrick quote that I love, and I don't know. I just think becoming is just being kind. And my mom just passed away a couple weeks ago, and
have my
yeah,
deepest
I know.
sympathy.
Thank you. And it just, I was there. I was honored to
Mm,
be with my dad, and she just stopped breathing very peacefully. She had
mm.
Alzheimer's. None of that makes it easier. But the reason I'm saying that is that it just reminds me that, my mom's intellect, all her knowledge, she was an amazing woman. None of that she's carrying with her. It's all the love I remember her giving me that she's taking with her. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for me, the meaning of success is making those in our lives feel loved. The love, and that's what I work on.
That's beautiful. I love that. I just love hearing everybody's definition of what success is. I felt that one too. Like some parts of me as I get older, that's becoming a more and more important part of what success feels like for me as well. A big component of my definition and formation of success. And I want you to talk directly to the woman who's listening right now. Mindset Bites to go. I want you to talk to the one who's strong, high achieving, holding it all together, and quietly struggling. I'm going to step away from the microphone and the camera, give you a moment to share your powerful mindset shift, and it's over to you. Here we go.
Wow, this is a first. Ladies, I'm sure you're amazing in whatever you're doing, just like I'm amazing in what I'm doing. And we're all doing different things. But the beautiful thing with women is we tend to help each other, to build each other up. And that's the word help. High achieving women, often we don't like to ask for help. I had a hard time asking for help. And if you're finding that whatever it is you're working on personally or professionally, and you're not getting there by yourself, and asking for help is a challenge for you, just give it a try. It's a really courageous thing to do. And then it becomes full circle, because once you get the help and you get to this level, you can give the help back to somebody else. And the cycle just keeps going. I guess that's it. Peace.
It's your own little segment in the show without my voice and my ears. That's so good. Colleen, I know that so many of our listeners and viewers want to know, what's your favorite way to connect with you?
Well, I'm old school, so just go to my website, purepotential.health, or you can email me at Colleen@purepotential.health. And as you said in one of my reviews, I'm very laid back. It's just connecting.
She's a laid back hottie. You guys go to her website and you see her on a beautiful bike. She is a biker girl too. She is just, oh my gosh. I was so impressed. She was like channeling me. I always say when I turn 50, I want to get a Rebel. I want to ride bikes. I want to go out
Yeah,
there. It's something that I'm definitely going to do. Guys, it's only 5 more years. I might get it before that.
do it and let me know when you do, okay?
Well, maybe you'll come back over to Arizona and we'll go for a ride too. We'll
Sure,
have a
I'm
little
there all
girl
the time.
bike time. Get some women to just rent bikes and go ride. I grew up with a dad who actually had Rebels, and I was in the back sitting behind him as he rides. So it was something that I just loved, the wind blowing in my hair and watching people as we go by and just soaking it up. It was beautiful.
There's nothing like it.
Yes, different experience from a drop top or being in a car.
Mhm.
Colleen, thank you so much for this conversation. It was honest, it was necessary, and deeply human. Your courage, your science backed approach, your willingness to tell the truth. It's going to free a lot of people today.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And for everyone listening, if this episode stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Patterns don't break themselves. You break them with awareness, with support, and with mindset. A mindset that refuses to settle for survival when you were built for wholeness. Don't forget to connect with Colleen at purepotential.health and grab her free Master Your Cravings guide, and stay tuned for her upcoming book, Life Beyond the Binge. I'm Dr. Elisa, your number one mindset disruptor. Keep mastering your mindset. Think, speak, do, become. leave a like, a comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of Mindset Mastery Moments. Bye now.